You're listening to the Death Rattle Crew, a Hearthstone podcast.
DRC, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Death Rattle Crew. This is a Hearthstone podcast. It's episode 34, in case you've been keeping count, because I can't. I am one of your hosts, but not the only one, Mike Tattoo Hearn, joined by the legend formerly known as Jeremy. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Bradford Lee, hey.
Hey, how's it going again?
Good. But special guest this week, Brandon Beastmode Youngblood from Vicious Syndicate. How you doing, sir?
Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be here.
Yeah. So, we'll just go blanket statement. How's everyone week's going? Jeremy, let's just go with you first.
It's been pretty good, man. Just hanging out, playing Hearthstone, having some fun with the new TGT cards, trying out new stuff, seeing what works, what doesn't.
Living the dream. Bradford, how about you?
Great. I've been doing pretty good in Legend, playing some really interesting decks, and been messing around with a lot of Quartermaster decks. I've been having a lot of fun with that as of recent.
Oh, okay. Just straight up Paladin.
Yep,
secret?
Paladin all the way.
Nice. Is it?
No,
like
who
a
needs
flood?
a secret in my deck?
Yeah, right. Is it just like a flood aggro Paladin deck?
Yeah, it's just kind of not entirely an aggro, but more mid-range. I've been playing Mookless Champion of all cards in my Quartermaster builds.
I've been waiting to see
the
that.
Third and fourth one, Quartermaster.
Okay, nice. We'll have to talk about that later. I'm interested.
Yeah.
And
are you playing the new guy, the 6/3?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a card, True Heart.
Yeah.
Love that card in that
Absolutely.
deck.
I got wrecked by a Control Warrior the other day by that card.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bad times. But Brandon, how you been doing?
Yeah, my ladder experience is quite a dreadful story. I mean, I'm surrounded by great players all the time, constantly in communication with some really great Hearthstone players. But me myself, I've resigned to being a mediocre pleberino.
Yes.
I'd be willing to bet that my account has the most instances of heartbreak of any account in Hearthstone. I mean, I probably have around 1,100, a little over 11,000 ranked wins because I play a lot and I've been playing for a long time. But I've made Legend one time. I am forever rank 5.
Oh, I hear that. Oh, the struggle is real. Oh man, that sounds like this month for me so far. I think I haven't played it a lot, to be honest, but I'll hit rank 5. Rank 5. Work's been a little busy, but
actually I think I've hit rank 5 about 9 or 10 times already this season.
Yeah,
kind of how it usually goes.
Yeah.
Just got to get that golden epic card, and you're good to go.
Yeah, right.
Oh, right.
Well, I think we'll just get right into it. So, Brandon, just tell us about yourself. Why are you on the show? Let's just go ahead and get there. What's the dealio?
Yeah, definitely. I'm really happy to be here. I'm the manager of Vicious Syndicate Gaming. We are a startup esports company. We've been around for a little bit now. We're the hosts of Tuesday Night Hype. So we're on week 40 consecutive weeks we've been putting on that community event for everybody.
And it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Some love it, some frustrated by it, but regardless, even if you're frustrated, they keep coming back and playing. So
yes.
We're the only group stage tournament that is kind of an open weekly event. And so, even though we've been encouraged to change it for time's sake, I'm really reluctant to because I like the niche element of the group stages. And so for me, I really wanted to immerse myself into a new arena. I'm kind of a managerial person. I'm a college instructor by trade and a budding entrepreneur by night, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I wanted to put my stamp on the esports scene. And so it started out with me and a good buddy, Jay Tonic. And before last BlizzCon, we kind of put our heads together and we wanted to start building an organization that was kind of going to provide for the community because a lot of players at that time didn't have an outlet for weekly events. And the ones that we like to play were either getting shut down or just were not open to everybody, right? So we wanted to provide that. And one thing led to another. We just started kind of attracting people. We finally launched Tuesday Night Hype in December. And from that, I've been able just to meet a lot of really great people and kind of bringing them in to our circles and started to put together the formations of what's now a sponsored esports organization within the first 6 or 9 months.
Okay. So
Awesome.
How old is Vicious Syndicate? Like, how long has, I guess, the group been around?
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned me and Jay Tonic kind of put our heads together in like September and October of last year.
Okay.
And our Tuesday Night Hype launched in December, mid-December, and then I believe our website went up in January, early January. So I kind of point to January as kind of like the release, where before that was kind of the beta, I guess.
Okay, I gotcha.
9 months, probably.
Okay. I mean, as far as the next perfect question is how difficult is developing, when it first started to where it is now, I guess cultivating this organization, this group, and everything involved, like even things like Tuesday Night Hype.
Definitely. It's quite a hassle. I shouldn't say hassle because that would kind of have a negative connotation to it. It's a lot of work. I love doing it. The struggles are, you're always going to be a big or a small fish in a big pond in a way. If you're going to try to start from the ground up, it's been personally funded by me the entire time.
Okay.
Up until recently when we've been able to acquire some sponsors. But in the beginning, it was just really my vision, and with the help of Jay Tonic, we wanted to build this, and it's really kind of frustrating to get people with the same vision on board working for free.
Right.
My mentality is I want people around me that will have a volunteer-based mentality that will work for nothing, but I want to pay them regardless. I want them to have that personal drive and passion to help build something new and be part of something that's growing, but then still say, here's a token of my gratitude for sharing this vision. And so everybody involved in Vicious Syndicate gets paid something, as small as it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to start up, you really have to start getting your grip on the community in some way. And luckily for us, Tuesday Night Hype kind of took off and kind of attracted a lot of popular names early on, even before we awarded BlizzCon points. And Zalay himself, before Zalay was even known, he won Tuesday Night Hype 4, and then literally the next week he went to win ESL, and then launched his recognizable name from there. So that was kind of fun to see.
Nice. Are there any other esports that you guys you're thinking about bringing on the scene with you guys other than Hearthstone, or are there any other ones, or are there plans or anything you can share as far as that goes?
Definitely. I think the plan was just to kind of get an infrastructure in Hearthstone and kind of get management and sponsors built from that game, but we definitely want to branch into other games. Initially our logo, if you notice, it has the VS and it has a Hearthstone in the background, and we're trying to do this. We're doing a whole rebranding and a whole logo change because while we love Hearthstone, I want to be TSM. I want to be Cloud9. I want to be Dignitas. I truly want to be a ground up creator of an esports organization. And with time, probably within another year or so, I want to have another game or two that we're branched out into, definitely. And HOTS is probably, Heroes of the Storm is probably the most logical next step.
Okay, I hear you.
So I am always on the lookout for folks that want to kind of be managers or team builders. So I want to kind of get them in our circles. I can give them some resources and go and start building a name.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, for people who are interested in that, where would they best find a spot to get in touch with you.
Definitely. I mean, VS.Beastmode@gmail is my contact. VS_Beastmode on Twitter, or contacting Vicious HS on Twitter also is a great way to just to get in touch with us. You know, I manage the main Vicious Syndicate Twitter, so any kind of contact would be welcomed.
Okay. So you kind of brought it up a little bit earlier. What would you say are the most difficult aspects of just running an esport? Like the most difficult, comparing yourself with your CLGs, your Cloud9s, your TSMs, your Fanatics. Is that something that you're struggling or working on right now? What would you say are there obstacles in your way, I guess?
Definitely. I think it's, for sponsors, it's all about stream numbers. You know, in Hearthstone, a lot of the players there's a skill cap, right? So Tempo Storm and Archon and Nihilum, you know, these known awesome players with a lot of resources and backing. You know, I'm fairly confident that my players have the amount of knowledge to go toe-to-toe with anybody in Hearthstone because of that skill cap, right? RNG kind of predicts the rest, and we'll get to that later. But
yeah,
exposure and resources and connections is pretty much the biggest thing that can make or break you. And for us, obviously, being a smaller and a newer organization, I can't even get the Daily Dot to follow me on Twitter. You know, I've been a fan of Beardy Face Leslie for a long time, and I shoot him an email. He won't even follow me on Twitter or let me answer a couple of questions, like, because I'm a nobody to him, you know? But little things like that, you know, having outlets where you can get involved and get your name out is paramount, you know? And then once you're recognizable, then you're much more likely to have opportunities to either be sponsored or just get your players in more tournaments and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the biggest issue is certainly getting that exposure and to get everybody on the same page also. Like, that's kind of the outward struggle from the inside of the organization itself, is having kind of a trickle down shared vision of what needs to happen. Because sometimes I will encourage the players and the managers or the coaches to do X, Y, and Z, and there's not follow through on that. And so, I scour the whole scene and try to see what is the most effective way to go about making a name and promoting our brand. And maybe either the players kind of nod their head and agree, but don't necessarily find it a priority for their daily routine, or one thing leads to another, and we have a disconnect there. So kind of having that trickle down theory of mind is sometimes difficult.
So do you stream the Tuesday night hype tournament that you guys do, or are you looking for more stream numbers for like your individual players?
Yeah, two questions there, right? Yes, we do stream them. It's been off and on the last couple of weeks because our production manager is in the middle of a move. So we during the point season, each week you can go look on our YouTube. We have probably 20-25 weeks of Tuesday Night Hype up there with casting either in-house or with guest casters, and starting to evolve the overlays to be somewhat decent. But the production is definitely a hassle. It's something that I really underestimated. We have our Twitch channel open as like the Q&A time for Tuesday Night Hype, so people have to come and like either listen to a broadcast we have going on there or watch the games while they have to ask questions about the brackets, etc. So we definitely have that launched, and it's our plan to continually improve production there. And we also have all of our players stream as well. Our players being Demigod, who you may remember from ESL. He was actually the guy who lost the phone tap. In a tough semifinal match. If that Boombot, I swear to God, that Boombot, we would be talking to a much more wealthy man right now. one thing led to another. But Demigod's there. We have Shoop. Shoop has been a little bit quieter on the scene, I suppose, but his achievements are notable. He was he went to the Onog finals in the first week, so he played against Hot Form and Trump and Amaz, I think. And he also qualified for the Assembly ROG in Finland last month, and that was a pretty big LAN event, kind of like a European equivalent to ESL, if you will. And so he made it to the second day. He made ninth or something like that in that event, which was cool. And we have CG Songbird, Cora, who is getting her stream going. She's a multi-time legend every season. She hasn't had her big tournament break yet, but she's getting her name out there in the scene and starting to get a decent following. You know, I know you guys have talked with her to have her on, and she's been going on podcasts every week, and she has her own podcast called Coin Conceit also.
Yeah. I actually didn't know that until this week.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to get in touch with her hopefully about that. I've been wanting to do a simulcast, like, you know, once every quarter or something like that, just with different topics with another podcast.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
That's so cool. I love podcasts. You know, that's how I found you guys, and I try to listen to every single Hearthstone podcast every week because I do a lot of driving.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know the pain. I feel you.
and lastly, we have we signed a Pokemon Pro this past couple weeks. He's been with us, Ray C591.
Okay.
He is he's really well known. He says he's the Forsen of the Pokemon world.
Okay.
We'll see if that's true or not. But you know, he's a skilled player. He's never put all of his time into Hearthstone, but he's made legend every season, and we have a lot of high hopes for him. And lastly, we have our player coach, which is Deckies. He's actually going to be coming out of Australia as one of the representatives, and he's in the round of 8 in that region. He's going to be flown into Taiwan next weekend, I believe. So he's a pretty strong player, up and coming as well.
Okay.
So speaking of that, you talked about like barriers to entry in Hearthstone. Do you think that your best to get your Vicious Syndicate name out there, right, and to make your team a more recognizable team, do you think it's the as of right now, it seems like the Tuesday Night Hype is your biggest promotion tool. But do you think that moving forward, you'll gain more momentum from something like Tuesday Night Hype or maybe more projects like that? Or do you think it comes more from a developed player base or like a bigger presence on Twitch specifically?
Honestly, the world revolves around Twitch. And it really, the success of the players and the growth of the players and the organization is largely tied to the amount of hours we stream on Twitch and the amount of times, amount of immersion into that community that we have. So while Tuesday Night Hype is great for the brand, and because a lot of people recognize it and see it every week because they play the tournament, in order for the players to gain traction and for us to have being perceived as more than an event organizer entity and not just but people with a group with a pro basis, then we really need our players to step up the streaming and really communicate with other pros and do collaborative streams and stuff like that. You know, once you win a big tournament or once you place well in a televised tournament, then you're pretty much people will remember you. You know, and Demigod still gets people coming into his chat and be like, "Oh, I remember you," and this and that. And so that's the thing we need more of also. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I'm glad we're still talking about this because we've talked about this on the show several months ago. Just kind of the cost of entry into being your I'm gonna throw a big like a Maz or your Trump or all that. We've talked to a couple other streamers where they say the environment's kind of changed as to how easy it is to get, the 10, 15, 20,000 viewers, on just a stream, for example. And it's a lot difficult. We talked to, who did we talk to a couple weeks ago? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart right now. Anyway, he was saying, I used to have over 1,000, here, there. Morik Siam, there you go. and now he's he doesn't have that many viewers consecutively at a time. But he says all his other friends that stream and things like that, they all feel the pain. I mean, Bradford, what is your take on that?
Well, yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is I take myself as a free to play player, and I've been doing that, and that's kind of been my goal for that. And so, getting that there, as we were talking about, the barriers to entry is incredibly high, unless if you are in the competitive scene. And I agree that it's kind of, especially with Hearthstone, you're seeing that the viewership is skewed dramatically to those that are in constant tournaments. And that even actually exacerbates itself because of the fact that a lot of these high profile names are getting free entry, in a sense, into tournaments because they have the higher names as well, which is just kind of continuing their growth specifically within Twitch, which is, I don't know, it's an interesting way to look at it, but obviously at the same time, it's a business for them. So they have to have a face to the name for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a little bit of an incestuous cycle.
Yeah,
sure. Now, I mean, my question is, I mean, and specifically for you, Brandon, like, are things changing as far as we talked about tournament invites, the invite system? Is that getting any? I don't know if "better" is the right word, but is that environment changing at all to where it's not being so skewed?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't even know if there's any effort to having it change, and I'm not sure people want it to change. Sure. I mean, take it the ATLC, for example. I mean, instead of having other teams in the final two spots, they made teams that don't exist with popular streamer names.
Okay.
And I think, I mean, it's an entertainment job Archon has to provide, right? That's what they're doing. They're bringing the community entertainment. And I don't think anybody really complained about that necessarily, except, teams like Hearthlytics or ourselves or Illuminati, which is now Follow Esports, other organizations with quality players that would have loved their chance to meet the world. One opportunity to be in front of 100,000 viewers, and you're gonna find fans, and you're gonna really, explode. But it's really about the sponsors. It's driven by the numbers on Twitch, and that's the end all be all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems tough. You kind of have to pull for the whole like David and Goliath scenario. So like I've been watching a lot of a streamer player named VLPS who's kind of making a push towards trying to get into the BlizzCon championship. And recently he like played against Firebat, and he was down 2-0 and then came back and won it. And you just start to think, like, how many players are there like this guy out there, like Demigod, like Shroop, like Korra, who are right on the edge of, like you said, there's a skill cap that you can get to. If you can get there, then it just kind of relies on, whether or not RNG rolls your way that game. But it was so cool because he was able to come back and, beat Firebat to get a spot in the next tournament, like if ALT, if the Archon Team League had, like you were saying, allowed 2 additional teams in there that, maybe given them the spotlight, like, that would have been really, really cool to see a team like, like Vicious Syndicate be able to go in and, if not take the whole thing, at least make the finals or,
Right. Yeah, yes, that would have been fantastic. I mean, I actually volunteered to admin the Archon Swiss that happened over the past month or so, and got connected with Backspace and talked with them. And I've got nothing but respect for them. They're doing it right, and they're really good at what they're doing. And Backspace offered some really positive and encouraging feedback for me as a new startup and a manager. And so that's another barrier, I would say, that a lot of teams that I've tried to get mentored by or just reach out to are not terribly receptive. And it's kind of this is a dog eat dog world. This is my arena, figure it out for yourself kind of a thing. But like Backspace was certainly talked to me for a long time, and I've even spoken with Raynad briefly, and he offered some insight, as well as Hearthlytics. J1N from Hearthlytics, the manager, has definitely been helpful at times as well. But I think really having an opportunity to shine through those events would be fantastic. And I think Archon is strongly considering an open qualifier element for the next team league.
It seems like that'd be good for them too, because that means just more airtime for them. They can have a whole pre-tournament, which is a tournament upon itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, it seems great for them, and that'd be great for the community too, because it allows for players like we were just talking about that can't push through the barriers yet to get that opportunity.
Well, I'll
just imagine. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, just imagine like with Firebat winning the world championship last year, previous to him winning the world championship, he was catching barely any viewers and getting invited to very, very few tournaments. He even had a couple of quips about that when he won, is like, hey, maybe I'll start getting invited to stuff. I feel like there's a lot of players out there who are as talented, but, like you said, they just don't have the airtime,
Well, that's a great follow to what I wanted to say also, is that VLPS, returning to him, he's one of my favorite new people in the scene, because he took advantage of a break. He made it through a qualifier to go to China with Firebat and Dog, and they won the big Chinese event there. I can't remember the name, but he took that opportunity, got back home, launched his stream, and said, I'm going to stream 8 hours a day. I'm going to say, you just heard of me. No one even watched that tournament. I don't even know where we could have found it. But he made connections with some great names, and he took advantage of it. And now he gets 300 to 400 viewers a night because of, he's done great in the qualifiers, but he's also leveraged his connections and really took advantage of a great personality. He's very smart. He's great at the game. He engages well with his chat, and he's a superstar. I'm one of his biggest fans, and I wish him the best. I think he's a perfect example and a great role model to great players out there that want to make it big. You have to bust your ass on Twitch, period. If you're not dedicating your day to playing Hearthstone on Twitch, you're not going to go pro, period.
Yeah. And that's a shame too, because I've been a competitive Magic player before, and the scene in Magic is very open to the general populace. There's actually like Pro Tour qualifier scene that anybody can enter into to try and get themselves on the Pro Tour. But within Hearthstone, and I've noticed this because I stream all the time now too. I have to be a streamer if I want to try and get myself to that level. It's just the nature of the beast, if you will. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard with a game that doesn't tie itself to people's faces unless they're on Twitch, Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why I really do respect you guys at Vicious Syndicate, because the Tuesday Night Hype being an open tournament is a fantastic option for people who want to start playing competitively. And I've played in Tuesday Night Hypes, and I thoroughly enjoy them. They're a great option for me to I have I get off work and I get the opportunity to stop in and play a tournament and get myself more prepared for what that scene looks like. And you guys really offer that great opportunity for everybody. I love that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Definitely.
So I don't want to take this too far off the subject or take up too much of your time. So I'm kind of in the boat that you are, where I'm a casual-ish player, rank 5 player who I think I'm good enough to get to Legend each month. I just kind of don't have the time to do it, but I do like the idea of a tournament that I can hop into. So I've never played in Tuesday Night Hype. If I were interested in doing something like that, like what would I need? Obviously, I go check out your guys' website and I can find more information on there. But like just a general breakdown of like what kind of time frame are we talking about? Is there prerequisite for what I need? Like if one of our listeners is just kind of thinking, this seems like a cool idea, I'll try this out.
Yeah, definitely. First, you just go ahead and send Beastmode $100 through PayPal, and then I'll get you.
Absolutely. All right.
No, it's totally free to enter. We run our brackets through StriveWire.com. and you can just go to strivewire.com, and I think the next month of Tuesday Night Hypes are available to sign up. You just make your Strivewire account, you sign in for the tournament, and make sure you come back and check in 1 hour before it starts. It's 4 p.m. Pacific time every Tuesday. And I will say, I mean, if you're in it for the long haul, if you're in it to win it, you're going to be playing for 6 hours on Tuesday and 2 or 3 hours on Wednesday. We stop the top 16 cut off on Tuesday and resume on Wednesday night. And we do that because we want to broadcast the top 16, so kind of make it a feature as much as possible. And we used to go all the way through from 4 PST till 1 a.m. PST when it first started. And once we got bigger and we were maxing out at 256 every week, we just couldn't handle that. The players would be falling asleep. I had stories of people losing their rounds in the top 32 or something because they fell asleep at the keyboard. So yeah, definitely, it's totally free. I don't care if you just started an account, make free decks and go play a tournament. To be honest, the tournament scene is much more rewarding. You really get a taste for strategy, and the best part is networking. Maybe it's your first time ever playing in a tournament and you get seated up against Phone Tap, who's a weekly participant. Great big names, legend players are always playing Tuesday Night Hype, and it's a great opportunity for any new player as well as a veteran to sharpen skills.
And just as Brandon said, it is incredibly easy to get started on Strivewire. They even have moderators in the chat during the tournament that can help you if you feel like you're a little confused with how the matchmaking system works. It was really easy from the first time that I did it, and just great opportunity, and I totally suggest it to everybody.
If I could just give some major love to my admins, if you've played, you've probably met Cheese, and if you played in the past month or so, you've met Prince and Higgins. And I love those guys to death. Because I'm a teacher, when I first started Tuesday Night Hype, I was the main admin, and I did it all on Tuesday night because I didn't have a class. But since then, I've had a class every Tuesday night that I've been teaching. I've had to rely on people to bring into the organization to run the show for me. And Cheese is a 15-year-old prodigy that has been with us for like 3 months now, and he just runs the show like a boss. I never hear of a single issue anymore other than Strivewire breaking down every now and again. And so I just love those guys to death. And you may have followed Higgins. Is actually he was in the qualifier event. He made it to day 6 or something, and he finally lost out to Bloodyface. If you were following this past week, we kept calling him Sir Higgins and Good Higgins Hunting because he's our tournament admin that kind of just volunteered to hop in and help out on Tuesday nights, and he made it exponentially further than any VS player in the entire qualifier.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So to kind of, we talked a little bit about this already, but RNG.
Oh boy.
What does that mean to, not just the players, and we've talked about tournament scene, but does that bother you at all as I guess a head of the organization? Is it a bad word? What does that mean?
It is a bad word, and it kind of provide an analogy of why it's a bad word, or perhaps not an analogy, but you'll get my point. Like the players are subject to emotions, right? They're subject to responding to situations in ways that put them on tilt and compromise their intellect. I think RNG is the kryptonite for healthy mental strategy. And unless you have the ability to overcome and truly find a chi or a foundation in your professionalism as a player, RNG is the reason that you'll quit and that you'll not pursue this as a career that some people have the opportunity to pursue. I don't think he'll he'll be mad for me mentioning this, but Demigod hasn't been the same since ESL because he's so burdened by some choices he made and some unlucky RNG that his passion to succeed has taken a hit because he tells me he wakes up in the middle of the night thinking about choices that he could have made during this match, and I'm like, okay, that's understandable, but at the end of the day, you have to realize that if your emotions and your mental game you're losing the mental game if you continually allow the variance element to beat you. And this game is very random, but the best players are super consistent. It's not chance that the best players are always in the top. They've learned how to manage the variance in a way that they can be consistent. And I think that's what all players really need to master. But ultimately, I think it is perhaps too much RNG. I think this is a dangerous game to invest in if you're going to try to make a career in esports because of how variable it is. So I would say that if Blizzard could somehow make it so you could truly hone a specific skill that won't be dependent upon a something coming out of a shredder or something like that. That's actually a good variance, but you know what I mean? Something that's a Ragnaros hit or something. It can be really difficult, I'll say, but I think it's not the worst possible. It's not the worst part of the game, I would say.
Okay.
It's tough when you have people's, literally their livelihood dependent on whether or not a boombot hits in the right place. With Demigod, had he broken through that and won that tournament just because of that one bad blow, that could have cost him 30, 40, 100, 200 viewers a night. Look at how much phone taps Twitch blew up after he won.
Right. Well, it's kind of like you just said, Brandon. It can make or break a career in some ways.
Yep.
Which I don't know. So do you feel like, or do you players feel like, and we talked about this last week, there's a week before, is there too much RNG in Hearthstone right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But it's not something that can't be overcome. But like I said, it takes a very mature and mentally strong person to fight through it. Because, I'm playing a game on ladder earlier, and sometimes you just want to shut it off and just stop playing because you've got 22 health, and somehow they top deck something, and it's just over.
Yeah.
It's just it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the same time, that's the game they made. It's the game Ben Brode likes, and so maybe it weeds out people for others to come in. I don't know how do you change it. How do you change the variance?
That's what I'm trying to think about.
I was actually listening to Angry Chicken this week, and they mentioned something that I've always wondered is, why don't you just let us look at one or two more cards at the beginning of the game and mulligan from there? Allow the strategy of the deck more opportunity to start on the foot that you want it to, and see how it goes from there.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to hear from you other guys, because you're more aggro players than me. Would that give aggro decks more of an advantage?
I think that would give combo more of an advantage. I think Grim Patron benefits from that for sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Their whole design of their deck is to dig through their deck as quickly as possible. So if they can have an opening hand that always has consistency, I think they're going to be better placed. Aggro, it also gives advantage too, because again, they're always wanting to curve out. They want to go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, et cetera, et cetera. So it definitely gives advantage to both of those. And at the same time, the control deck has only so many good hands. So it also gives some advantage to the control deck because, they always want maybe a Fiery War Axe in their opener.
Sure.
And if now it's a greater than a 50% chance, that definitely helps them combat that. So I don't know that it actually I don't know that it's bad for anyone. I think it's an overall good thing for everybody, for bringing more consistency to the game and allowing the decks to do exactly what they want to do. But I think that the combo deck is the one that's going to get the greatest benefit, because consistent combos are very tough to beat, especially in a game that doesn't have something like hand disruption or ways to stop combos besides taunts and secrets.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. I think the only point there that I disagree with is that it would help aggro. I think aggro, especially like if you consider Face Hunter, the curve is already so low that the likelihood that you're going to curve out is already incredibly high.
Sure.
So if you increase the amount of your opening hand size to mulligan away stuff, basically let's say that Face Hunter currently has, a 75% chance to go turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to increase it by that much. It may go up to, 80%, 90%, something like that. Whereas if you have something like Druid, which, they're mulliganing for their innervates and wild growths, and they currently have, we'll say, a Druid currently has about a 30-40% chance to curve out. That's going to shoot up to, 60-70%. So basically the gap between the increase in percentage is going to be much higher for a mid-range or a control deck than it is for an aggro deck, which already is extremely likely to curve out.
Certainly.
So I think it would increase the viability of a mid-range strategy. It would definitely, right now, the biggest hindrance to aggro is control. It's weird because in this game, aggro beats mid-range beats control beats aggro. I think it would give mid-range a much better chance against the aggro decks. You would see a lot less Face Hunter, which you're already seeing a lot less Face Hunter because of Warrior, but I think it would hurt aggro more than it would help aggro.
Well, any of the thoughts on RNG, boys?
I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't think anyone is. It's been broed. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. It's a new player mechanic. It allows the new player to have a potential to continually grow in the game, and the little RNG helps them win some games that they otherwise may not have. So it's a good new player mechanic. But again, once you're beyond that new introductory player base, it becomes bad. So I think for everybody in the scene, it means that Hearthstone may grow at a faster rate, and maybe even more than it would otherwise. But I think once you've finally gotten past that initial new player stage, it becomes a little bit, not fun, and kind of almost like a bad word.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, Brandon, another question, and you kind of talked about this a little bit already. I mean, what tips do you have for players looking to play professionally and maybe looking to join a team? I know you said Twitch, but and I agree. I think that's, especially, YouTube's starting to do it now too. Just getting a face out there and being consistent. But what else? I mean, what other things can people do?
Yeah, for us, I think we're always looking for new players, in a sense where we always want to bring somebody new that wants to kind of align the vision and propel into the scene. For somebody that is trying to be noticed, Twitch is the main thing. If I watch Twitch at the bottom, 20 and below viewers more than I do the top, because I'm looking for that next big thing. Somebody who's dedicated to putting their personality out for us to see, and a gregariousness about themselves, that to be an entertainer, that's really important, because there's a difference between like a team and a practice group, if you will. Like Under the Radar is probably the most well-known now little subculture that has excellent top players in it, but they're ladder grinders, and they're focused on just playing the game, less about what it takes to kind of be involved in an organization. That's Phone Taps group. I think Cobby is in there. Redwall 420, if you know him. And they're not focused on the stream thing necessarily, but they're great players. That's a different group than it would be to be part of something like Vicious Syndicate or Archon or Tempest Storm or any team. It's very focused on how many ways can you connect to the community through Twitch, through content and Reddit and Twitter. To be on VS, you need to be active with your Twitter, active with your Twitch. We're building into Reddit. That's a big thing also. And just being that figure in the community that is very gregarious about connecting with other people. That's a huge element that if you're lacking could be a problem to grow for you.
Okay.
Well, I think that's an interesting point too. Like the ability for even professional players to interact with audiences is huge in Hearthstone. Like if you could imagine, going to a football game and trying to say hey to JJ Watt, that's just not going to happen.
Sure.
Whereas, like if you hop onto a Mazda stream, or if you hop onto, any of these guys, Demigod, Shoot, the idea that, especially with some of the guys who are just starting out, we're talking about VLPS. I know Brad streams a lot too. Like just the ability to hop on and ask a question to someone who has, like a little bit more experience, or I think that's really cool. That's a huge aspect of the game, because I'm way more interested in the entertainment factor of Hearthstone than I am the playing of Hearthstone. Like I enjoy playing Hearthstone, but I watch probably 5 times more Hearthstone than I play. So
Well, Brandon, before we let you go, let me ask guys, any other questions for Brandon? Forever hold your peace.
That covered everything.
Okay. Well,
where do I send that $100?
Yeah,
again?
exactly. Yeah. That was my question. So again, just go ahead. Where can people find you? Where are your players located? Just, where is Vicious Syndicate right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main hub for us is Twitter. That's Vicious HS, and that we can connect you there to all the players. But I can list off all their handles as well. But going to our website can kind of link you there also, which is ViciousHS.cards. Yeah, .cards.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty fun to find.
Yeah.
But we have our players are all streaming. They should be streaming 20 hours a week. They don't always do that, but that's a conversation for another day.
Right.
But they're all various degrees of entertainment and skill. Like if you want a great stream, overall quality and high quality gameplay as well as interaction, Cora is top notch. She's amazing. She's beautiful. She's funny. She's talented, intelligent. She sings like a beast, like beautiful singing voice. Check her out. And if you want pure gameplay with just like really high analytical knowledge, check out Shoop. He's fantastic. Ray streams a ton also, Ray C591, and he's definitely a good guy to check out. He's super funny guy. And Demigod has been streaming less of late, but when he's on, he's just a wild and crazy dude. He's really fun to watch. So definitely, all of us are on Twitter. Would really appreciate Twitter follows if you could. Not even trying to plug it too much, but it's really important. It's important for us and any organization that's growing to that extra number. It's all about numbers, right? Just that extra follow is so huge. So we really appreciate having me on. I've been a big fan of yours for a while, and I definitely was hoping to talk to Avery. I don't know if he ever told you, but I was listening to the Death Hour crew for a while, and I was listening to Avery, and I was like, I like this guy. I like this guy a lot. I want to get to know this guy, and I actually pinpointed him as somebody who I wanted to bring onto VS as a coach to manage the whole pro mentality. I thought he would be excellent at that, and ultimately the time zone and his new college law school kind of
I know. Yeah, he's been, and it's such a bummer, but he's been really busy with school now. I mean, because you're like saying he's hit under 100 a couple seasons in a row now, so it's he knows his stuff. He's very, very accomplished at this game. So again, wish him the best in law school, but sometimes priorities, Avery. Sometimes.
I know, right?
No, gonna be such a show off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, along with that, I mean, we wish your team the best. I mean, I've started watching those streams as well because I'm like you, Jeremy. I watch a lot of. I probably watch more Twitch than I do actually playing Hearthstone. Just watching someone who's even better than me play. It's just a whole different mentality, especially when you see someone make a play and you're like, oh, there's no way I would have done that. But when you're the one playing, that you might not have thought of that play. So those out there listening, if you don't watch streamers, go do it. I promise you, it will improve your game.
Definitely.
I mean, definitely. So, Brandon, thank you again for coming on. I'm gonna put as many links to like your website and some of the streamers' Twitter in the show notes. So listeners, just check it out there. Unless you've been writing it down with a pen and paper. But other than that, that will be episode 34 for the rest of Death Rattle Crew and Vicious Syndicate. I am Tac2, joined by the legend, formerly known as Jeremy, Bradford Lee, and Brendan Beastmode Youngblood. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Beastmode.
All right, have fun, guys.